About to go live. And now we are live here. This is gonna be great. See that? Yes, it showed up properly. Let me
Outstanding.
see. Can this maximize anymore? We got it. Looks good. Looks great. All
Mm.
right. Abora Boye, Aboshishe,
Ato, Ashere, Warrior, Fun.
Ofun, Ashe, Ashe, peace and endless blessings. It's December 28th. We are, what, 2 to 3 days shy from New Year's Eve. Kim It is I, Ifakolade, Umilade, Fatosine, mother, medicine woman, storyteller, artist, and host of Sacred Waters Healing Temple, home of divine mysticism and ancestral medicine, assisting us into cosmic birth for the ascension of our true selves. And today, I have the honor of being joined with Oloye Ifa Karade, esteemed elder, scholar, and author of the Handbook of Yoruba Religious Concepts. His work has shaped generations of practitioners, researchers, seekers, and those who desire an authentic and grounded understanding of Isheshe and Yoruba spiritual worldview. And we're on the fourth day of our storytelling with the book of A Place of Nights, War and Resurrection, Chapter 4 of BULUKU'S Priestess.
Yes, yes.
Yes, 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 yes.
Well,
And I'm
it's an honor to be here,
excited.
and as we journey forth, we know and we share with our listeners, that this is continual. You know, although we're ending this portion with chapter 4 of the 21 chapters,
Mm-hmm.
we invite you, we encourage you to get the book. You know, just don't read it, read into it. You know, as we say, read a book like you're watching a movie, or watch a movie like you're reading a book. And this way, you can get so much more out of it. And we'll have open discussions, classes revolving around uh, not only this work, but others that have been written and published by myself, humbly speaking. Uh, so we're here to increase the understanding and the practicality of our involvement with Ifa and Isheshe. I was deeply moved by, the intro regarding the Handbook of Yoruba Religious Concepts.
Mm-hmm.
Now going on, you know, 30, 40 years, this book.
Mm.
And the power of it, in part, is the legacy. There are people who are currently sharing with me that their teenage children or nieces and nephews are reading the Handbook of Yoruba Religious Concepts. So it's not limited to, if you're initiated, or, this is, what you want to read because it may bring you a certain level of power. No, it's a legacy statement. And that brings my soul, great joy to have the youth involved, and to have parents feeling comfortable enough and safe enough to now see Ifa Isheshe as a tool for upliftment, as a way to assist the coming generations. Now, when it comes down to A Place of Nights, War and Resurrection, let it be said that once an understanding is gained in Ifa and Isheshe, as presented through the Handbook of Yoruba Religious Concepts, then we begin to create our own narrative. You know, we have greater authority now over our philosophical and world views, and we create from ancestral eyes, as opposed to being subject to creations and imaginations from the eyes of others. So I'm deeply moved and I'm deeply appreciative. And I
Mm.
thank each and every one of you.
Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. Wonderful. I love that you mentioned that there are youth that's grabbing the hold of this book because, yes, mine did finish the book and she
Okay.
loves it. She loves
All right.
it. All right. So we're on chapter 4. Do you want to give a small briefing, a wrap up of chapter 3 before we get started?
What was chapter 3? Who remembers chapter 3? Was that young love?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, we find uh, traveling through time. Emina is now back 3 months before being sent to the what I call juvie, okay, for all of the wayward youths because she would not agree to the arranged marriage set by King Adefemi, her father. And along with that, to make matters even more dire, uh, she finds love in all the right and wrong places.
Hmm.
And somewhat wooed by the second wife, okay, Ujib, who is jealous of Amina, she releases her flower, and that makes her no longer suitable, quote unquote, for the marriage to the prince of another nation in order to create this alliance. Okay. Now, Amina is betrayed. You know, the, the love that she has is just another layer of betrayal that not only she suffers, but other characters suffer as well. But she's betrayed. And I don't want to say by whom because I don't want to give the story away. However, we now discover in chapter 3 how this young love becomes a stage setting of many intriguing episodes that happen in Amina's life and relatedly in the life of everyone who's involved with her. So now we're back to Amina being with Buluku, that underground quote unquote godlike creature who is
Hmm.
assisting Amina in her understanding,
Hmm.
guiding her through that understanding towards her growth. Okay. And so here we are now at chapter 4.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for that quick summary. So, Buluku's Priestess, Chapter 4. We're going to get straight into it. So,
Okay.
Kanamani sat in front of her. Tell us who you are. Tell us why you're here. I'm Emina, Priestess of Buluku. I've come to help you in all humanity. Where do you come from? I come from caverns beneath the lake, the womb of the earth, the home of God. Why have you come back to the world of the living? Sukanamani says. I've
Mhm.
come back to be God's voice. Sunakumani leaned forward. What does God have to say? God's message is da da da. What is da da da? Da is self control and discipline. Da is bettering the world by increasing goodness in the world. Da is compassion for all things living, dead, either and neither. God will save us? No, will God save us?
Mhm.
He asks. God will help us, but not save us. How will God help us? By sending me, God has done all he cares to do. Are you spirit or a goddess? I'm the priestess of Buluku. How shall we worship you? How shall we become your congregants? I'll not be worshipped, Emina said, nor will I have congregants. This I love how you put that da 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 in there. It reminds me of Oriki in a
Yeah.
sense. Um, it reminds me of Oriki and and how we have to interpret certain things, certain messages, or how many times we say something to get it through. So
Hmm.
let's dive into this passage here. Where so we can
Well,
go.
yeah, this came to me as a result of study, particularly of the Dravidian culture of the East African theater. the,
Mm,
The Dravidians crossed the seas from East Africa many, many, many years ago and established the first settlements in India. And their sacred book was called the Upanishads.
mhm,
So as I'm reading through that, and I came across da da da, which was like you said, an oriki or a mantra, okay, as a
mhm,
yoga would call, and this was meditative vibration. And as I researched more deeply, I came across what it actually meant. And I said, now, wouldn't this be deep to add into the storyline
mhm.
where Emina,
Mhm.
having faced death,
Yeah.
having now chosen to live, because she says, I choose to live, okay, being granted a new leaf on life, as we might say, she is resurrected and she has a choice before she takes her step in back into the world from the caverns.
Mhm.
Baluku asked her, you can become a goddess or a priestess. Okay. Your worldly essence, you are a princess, so you could become a queen, but
Mhm.
the choice is up to you. But once Baluku shares with her the deepness of and the differences between the three, the two specifically, okay, a goddess or a priestess, she chooses to become a priestess
Mhm.
because she wants to better the world. She doesn't want the world coming to her with offerings and things like that. She wants to be like, what would you say, boots on the ground. She
Yes.
wants, to get her hands in the soil and make a difference in the
Mm.
world. So
Right.
Baluku gives her the message of da, 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 okay? And then explains. So when we look at, for example, our religious involvement, I think it's difficult to argue that these 3 points might be worthy of our study and our application. Self control and discipline, you know, no amount of religiosity that anyone has is going to overshadow the need to have self control and discipline. I mean, okay, bettering the world by increasing goodness in the world and having compassion for all things. You see, and when we talk about being involved in Ifani Sheshe, for example, and we talk about our ancestors, sometimes we kind of miss the core of our ancestral understandings and realizations. You know, I said, how many pots becomes more important than your self control, the goodness that you're bringing to the world, and the level of compassion that you have. You see, not to say that the having pots and initiations isn't important. Please don't get it twisted, my people. However, there's got to be a foundation, and Amina is learning it from the deepness of her. subconsciousness. Okay. What else is interesting is that the home of God is in the cavern beneath the lake, in the womb of earth, not up in the heavens somewhere. You
It's
see?
interesting that you say that because recently I've been hearing and listening about the ocean really being true heaven, but
Okay.
not to go deep down into it, but I did hear about it, and I
Yeah.
actually would believe in that
Yeah.
more so than looking above in the sky.
Right. Right. I mean, and even from the committing sciences, know thyself, for the kingdom of God is within. You understand? So all these types of connections start to bear fruit
Hmm.
as we till the soil of our own personal resurrections. Okay.
Yeah.
And here's a lot of people's favorite part, reflecting back to chapter 1. Uh, will God help us, or will God save us? He asked.
Yeah.
God will help us, but not save us. How? By sending me. He says, I'm
Hmm.
priestess of Buluku. I don't want you to worship me. I'm not here for a following.
Hmm.
That's not my agenda. That's not what I'm doing this for. Now, I can remember traveling across the United States back in the day. People, well, how many followers do you have? And all that. I said, I'm not here for followers.
Hmm.
You know, I'm not. That's not my purpose. That's not my agenda. I'm not here for big money and big applause and big fun. I'm here because I'm sent here. You know,
Hmm.
as an Ifa priest, as a Babalao. Anything else that comes along with it, I'm grateful for.
Hmm.
But to have that as my reason, my cause for doing it, no. Okay. So any rate, this gives us an idea of how Emina is starting to work through her resurrection this time around. Okay.
Yeah, I also found it interesting in reading this part of the chapter
Mhm,
how, as soon as she said that she wanted to come and do the work and
mhm,
live as a priestess, she
mhm.
was thrown directly into war. Basically, like this is
Yes.
the beginning of it. As soon as Sanakumani is about to head out,
Mhm,
sees her laying there. But then the rest following, and you have to get the book and you have to read it. The rest
mhm.
following was she got to get ready for war immediately. She's in the midst of it.
Yes.
She chose to be a priestess, so with priestess comes the work, and the
Yes.
work has to be done. So
Yes. Yes.
and that reminds me too, because a lot of times when facing hardship and tranquility and all of that, we could
Mhm,
lay there and die. And
mhm,
she Baluku asks, like, do you want to be a goddess or do you want to be a priestess?
mhm,
And she was about to start fighting with the idea of which one should she do,
mhm, mhm.
the work that comes with it, because she was parlaying and relaxing down there in the ocean. And
Yeah, yeah.
the
She's
lakes,
like,
yeah.
I can stay here forever.
No, and he Baluku was like, no, you won't.
No.
There's work to be done. And so she chose it, and as soon as she chose it, she was thrown out there to work.
All right. Okay.
From the storm's eye, she called to an unseen foe. Hear me, demon, you. No, let me make sure I'm reading it right. Cause say, hear me, demon, you who devour the
Sanctity.
sanctity
Oh, man.
of a man and
Okay.
lay to waste all knowledge and wisdom, you who reduce civilizations to rumble and tear asunder the holiness born of higher consciousness. She shifted her body from frontal to side and extended her right forefinger. She's like, yeah, you did. You who corrupt the righteousness and strain the prophets, you who
Sustained.
call
Uh-huh.
stain the prophets, you who call forth the enlightened and desecrate them, hear me. Time slowed, arrows and bombs ceased to fall, unveiled and revealed were misshaped demons as they crossed the darkness of eternity. An undefined, unthinkable archfeed encrusted with blood and bile loomed over the earth. Who dares? Amina stood fearlessly. You must leave this place. This war reeks of lies and deceit. It's unholy. There's no cause for you to be here. No wrongs have been committed. This is slaughter for no reason. War is unholy, the Ejagun below. War is slaughter. War knows all places in all times. War has no reason nor needs any.
Mm.
You have the capacity to change. For humanity's sake, you must change. Overcome your primal nature and be at peace. Listen, that she that's like a moment of judgment, a moment of the pointing the fingers. I like how she's like she's calling forth some, like a demand. If I'm using the right word, calling forth, demanding by saying, "You hear me, demon."
Right. Well, the demon's already there, so she's not really calling forth the
It's
demon.
like to get the attention, demanding, may rather.
Right. She's confronting the demon.
Mm-hmm.
You know. She's like, "Hear me, demon." You know what I mean? You better listen to what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
And then she takes her stance. Now, coming from a martial art, a military, kind of fight thing,
Mm-hmm.
you don't really stand front to front when you expect there to be conflict. You turn sideways,
Mm-hmm.
okay? And
Mm-hmm.
when folks getting ready to get into it, they when they start pointing that finger, it's like, well, as a mother, when you start with that,
Mm-hmm.
you better hear me. I'm talking to you right now. You
Mm-hmm.
understand? So she's going toe to toe and eye to eye with this demon that's looming over the earth. Okay, because now war is coming. War is here. And she, Emina, priestess of Buluku, dares to confront war,
Mm-hmm.
sheep of war, the Ajogun.
Mm-hmm.
Now, thank you, Asia, for the great points, okay? So now she's inviting war to think. She's trying to reason with war. It's like, you don't have to be here. This is unholy. Why are you here? You know, just go. It's unnecessary, you know? But war says there is no reason for me to be here. I don't, what, you know?
Mm-hmm.
You have the capacity to change. But this is
That is.
overcome your primal nature and be at peace. She's pleading with war to go. But as we find out, as in continual reading, war is like, hmm, I don't think so, baby girl. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
I'm here now. I didn't cause this. Keep that in mind. I didn't cause it. It just is. And it's human beings or the nature of existence itself that has to be changed or continued because there's always going to be war. There's always going to be war unless we change, unless we change.
Mm-hmm. This is reminding me of like in church whenever they say we need prayer intercessions, and the prayer warriors come and they're like laying hands and praying over people over illnesses and sicknesses or behaviors and stuff, or when they come into people's house and they are praying for change inside of a person's house to be
Yeah.
taking place. And like how strong, like real prayer words, their voice and stuff
Yeah.
is just really strong when they're trying to call forth for things to go away, for wickedness to be removed from things or illnesses to be removed. And
Mhm.
so I just kind of felt chills while I was just reading it and hearing you read it back. You know, it is real for sure. There is always, and again, this is her doing the work,
Mhm.
literally doing the work, and even if this was like her own behavior, like say in real time,
Yes.
like say if I was Amina and in real time, I
Mhm.
look in the mirror and like speak to myself
Yes.
in the harshest way to call for things that needs to be changed.
Yes.
And even if it's uncomfortable, that's still a form of war
It
it,
is.
that you have to like go through. And
Right.
so I see so many aspects of how
Mhm.
that could be used and be
Yeah.
relative in a person's life for sure.
Now, like say when we start with our classes, just making a connection with laying our hands in prayer. We would say, Ebi Arum, we want to avert, we want to cast away
Yeah,
sickness. Ebi Full, we want to avert and cast away loss. And definitely Ebi Iku, we want to
yeah,
avert it. So we have that all in E5,
yeah,
E6. And
yeah,
as a matter of fact, that's a carryover of the human experience, because you have it everywhere. And
yeah.
you have all the time this kind of, you know, ability in part, okay, to by transfer of energy, by
Mm-hmm.
transfer of frequency,
Yes.
okay, the sound of the voice, the tone of the voice, the energy, and how that helps become a healing,
Mm-hmm.
okay, for that person. Now, something else you said that was really deep. Hello, Oshun Bumi Rogers, Alafia, our sister. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
it's that, and we kind of touched on it last week. When people are lighting sage and candles and they want to dispel negative forces,
Mm-hmm.
they have to make sure that they themselves aren't a negative aren't a negative force. And
Mm-hmm.
people who do pray over you, and they're sincere and they're earnest,
Mm-hmm.
and that sickness is alleviated or even cast off, that the person who has been saved not return to the same ways that they were before
Yeah,
they
yeah,
were healed.
yeah.
You see, and that's where our school of thought is coming from. That no matter what else is done outside of you, you have to make adjustments inside of
Yes.
you.
Yeah.
Because if I keep getting healed from a certain thing that I'm doing, and I keep returning to doing that thing, then somebody needs to be there to help me resolve that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You think so?
Mm-hmm. I like how you said she shifted her body from frontal side to extend her right forefinger. You
Mhm.
who corrupt the righteousness and stain the prophets, you who call forth the enlightened and desecrate them, hear me. It reminds me of like sometimes when people go through an experience and they allow the experiences to define them, or other people who come about and kind of like set the tone and make it seem as though those past experiences have somehow defined or shaped them, and it has desecrated them. That sits with me too as I'm reading it.
Okay.
And then it says, "Time slowed, arrows and bombs ceased to fall." You know, even though she's calling it forward, that time slow reminds me of just like regulating what's being called.
Okay.
Because it is uncomfortable. In the midst of the healing part of things, of someone to speak about the harsh treatment, the unholy born, of hard things that's blocking you when you're healing, and you're recognizing the parts of you that are really disempowering. Does that make sense?
Disempowering.
Yeah, disempowering
Okay.
you. And then there, and you're praying over yourself or somebody else praying over you and saying
Mhm.
and just speaking it, and it's like that process in between. But you said time slowed down. Arrows and bombs ceased to fall.
Yeah.
Unveiled and revealed or misshaped demons as they crossed the darkness of eternity.
Mm. Well, yeah, because there's a pause. There's a pause, like the calm before the storm kind of thing. You know, there's a pause when we have to to reconsider or reevaluate
Mm-hmm.
what our next step is.
Mm-hmm.
There's a pause. You know, it could be a quick pause, or it could be a pause that takes months. It's like we got to slow this down, okay? And things could go to the right, or things could go to the left.
Mm-hmm.
And what we'll find as we continue through the chapter, those of us who've read it, and those of us who are going to read it, you know, we'll find that even though there's the pause, it doesn't really stop what's going to happen from happening if
Yeah.
we don't find some sort of negotiation between the forces of destruction and the forces of our continuation. And some might say this is where eschew comes in. Okay. But stay tuned for the classes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So now, the one that's speaking at this point is Koumbu. And so, what do you want? He asks. I am priestess of Buluku, the creature that is God, and I want this war to cease. If you're truly a priestess, then tell us your religion.
Hmm.
There's no religion, no pages to read, no sacrifices to make, no prayers to recite, no hymns to sing. All we need to embrace is that God's patience is waning.
Hmm.
Most of him is trying to make her prove who she is
Well,
in the midst of a war.
because that's what we're conditioned to do. You know, how many times people ask you, "What are you?" What's
Yeah.
your sign? Who's your Orisha? Uh,
Mhm. Did you get
what's your
initiated?
religion? What school did you go to? You know
Mhm.
what I mean?
Did you get initiated in
Yeah,
in
where
Nigeria?
yeah, it's like da 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 da. Da. And at the end of the day, that data, click 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 click, only means something to somebody or nobody. you know,
Mhm.
I mean, I went to Nigeria on two occasions, to the continent on three,
Mhm. Mhm.
and I still had Babalaos and other Orisha folk telling me that they don't recognize me, you know. And here I am, painstakingly writing a book for us because there was none,
Mhm.
or there were pamphlets. Okay, but that's not a put down; it's just an observation. Okay,
Mhm.
so I'm seeing the need, but I'm also answering the calling that this is what you must do. This was what was shared with me, you
Mhm.
know, via the elders and via the Odu, you know, of my Itefa. So I embraced fully what I had to do. I was a grown man when I got initiated. So it's
Mhm.
like, oh, okay. So you grown, then accept
Mhm.
the mantle, accept the weight of your responsibility. But at any rate, so all of this, who are, where, what, who, why, when, and not too long ago. Oh, you have Ochosi? I said, I do. Well, who initiated? I said, Ochosi did.
Mhm.
You know, I,
Mhm.
I took on the spirit. I spent days out in the woods. I communed with a great falcon that perched on a tree and overlooked everything that I did.
Mm.
So I'm a firm understander of the impact and the power of nature outside of hierarchical who did this for you and who did that for you and how many this. I came back, oh well, how many stones in your Obatala pot? I was like, one. My
Mm-hmm.
word. Oh, it wasn't done right. Wasn't done right. The elder who initiated me was over 100 years old, and her son was the Araba of
Mm.
that entire region. They wasn't BSing me. They gave me what they felt to have. I said, I got more of that one stone than you got out of 816 or whatever. Okay.
Mm.
But I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going to engage in these type of conversations with anybody anymore because what is most important, you know, what you have and where it was done, or what has been ignited inside of you. You know, what have you now been freed from, and what are you now able to achieve in terms of your potential and your actuality? You know, what kind of car you drive, how much money you make, you know, all
Mm.
that kind of thing. If that's important to you, then fine, but it's not important to me.
Right. It's definitely important to know your values
Yeah,
and to know your own journey. Make sure you understand that,
yeah.
because appreciating the pause in my life right now in solitude, there is healing. Ashe.
Ashe, Ashe.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that's why, you know, I put this through Emina, you know, to say that, yeah, all of that might be important to you. Like he said, what's your religion? She said that there is no religion. I'm not indoctrinated. I'm not a part of any systemic, you know, faith. I'm a priestess of Buluku.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? The creative force, the God force, quote unquote. You know, what else do you need to know? You know, if you're truly a priestess, and tell us your religion. Here we go. And she's like, there's no religion. All we have to do is know that God is getting impatient. God's patience is waning. And we need to hurry up and get ourselves together
Yeah.
because, you know, I'm coming with the blessings, but I'm also coming with a warning,
Mm-hmm.
you know? Hmm.
Hmm.
All right.
Kind of feel like challenging this is something inside of me, only because of the concept of God. You know,
Mm-hmm.
um, who what to say to those who really see God differently at this point,
Mm-hmm.
um, who really don't see God as a he or she or
Mm-hmm.
like anything above in the sky.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So then, at that point, when considering that, would you say like, is it just a matter of the atmosphere and things that's occurring in the atmosphere? It's, for
Mm-hmm.
instance, Ajay Ogun,
Mm-hmm.
negative forces in the atmosphere.
I,
If
I'm saying that it's all of the above and beyond the above.
mm-hmm,
Now, I could have put the word like Olodumare, you know, that which has brought all things into existence.
mm-hmm,
You know, as a writer, we often have to make, you know, connections with our readers. You know, I'm not saying, you know, we have to become so over popular that we don't even make sense to ourselves. You know, we're just trying to write so that people can like us. You know what I mean?
mm-hmm,
There are times that we have to draw on terms that people can relate to, or even question. You know, like I used with the handbook of Yoruba religious concepts. I could have left the religions out, but I know what our people have gone through. I know what words kind of, you know, grab their attention. Now, and folks can argue about the term from now until the end of time, you
mm-hmm,
know. But the thing is, it not only caught your attention, but it rings of times.
Mm.
that that term had meaning, you know. And it's just like with God. But Beluku tells us in chapter 1 that it's not God.
Yeah, it did.
He Beluku made sure, and I tried to stay away from the he and or the she. And if
Mm-hmm.
you notice, I'll just use Beluku
Mm-hmm.
at the time. You know, she doesn't say I'm his priestess. She says I'm Beluku's priestess.
True. Yeah.
Now, and this takes us to how we look at even terminology in Orisha in the Oriki. When you see that O in front, you know, like Agbe, for those of us who dwell in the Odu, that
Mm-hmm.
O is without gender. And that's why I put in the writings of Agban and in the writings of Tawede that O is genderless. You know,
Mm-hmm.
the one who, the essence that. Our ancestors weren't gender specific when they talked about the creator, Oludumare, the one who, the essence that, not the Abrahamic he.
Right. Yeah.
So coming from that standpoint, if I were to, have this kind of remember to cross examination with folks, you know what I mean,
Mm-hmm.
about God, I would say, well, let's just look at it as the God concept.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever your concept of God is, let it go.
Okay. Received. Okay. So now we're
Mhm.
here. The high priest stared at the king. I
We
told.
can't see the writing.
Oh,
Can't see the
oh,
book.
my apologies. Here we go.
No problem.
Get back over here.
There we go.
The high priest stared at the king. I told you that I must divine before letting the princess depart.
Hmm.
Such is the way. Now look at her in the royal house. You've shamed us with your irresponsibility, ineptitude,
Hmm.
and blatant disregard for tradition. You've brought the dead to the palace and with them a curse. I must consult Ifa on this matter. I must be permitted to divine. No one, not even King Adefemi, attempted to stop him. The high priest bid a young Awo to retrieve his divinatory implements shelved in the Ajubo.
Ujubo.
Once the boy returned, he knelt and presented the sacred objects. Oloye began his prayer. Orumilagio, let me make sure I'm saying it. Orumilagio. He poured termite powder from his sack onto the divining board and drew a vertical and two horizontal lines on each side of its center, forming even quadrants. Loki Oko
Hmm.
Ki O. After completing the supplication, he beat the king, and with the mid finger of his right hand, he marked sacred lines. Undistracted by steering around him, he completed the divination and held up his Irokore.
Ibukere. Uh-huh.
Irokere, yeah.
Oof.
First and foremost,
Hmm.
I'm happy that you decided to add it, so much because I have an Irokere as well. You know, I wish I had it in front of me just to present it.
Hmm. Hmm.
But these words resonate with those who read and understand. Like you said, you're bringing that into the book, into the story for good representation reasons. I would assume, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the importance of breathing Ifa into this novel is beyond words. You know, I'm just a drum, as I tell people. You know, Uh, I'm just the writer, the actual entity or being behind it, is Arumila, you know, is E5, you know. So it's like here we can have hundreds, if not millions, of literary pieces that contain Abrahamic Christian doctrine, uh, connotations, uh, and I'm not arguing that, and I'm not judging it. It is what it is. But what I'm not seeing outside of the general Hollywood quote unquote voodoo ish, supernatural ish, and everybody's a witch or a demon, you know, kind of individual, and every time a divination is done, it's behind some spookism, and I'm like, come on, y'all, come on, and and we who are in Ifani Sheshe, we, uh, in my humble opinion, we're too lacking in and not standing up against it, but doing something other than it.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to waste my time fighting with Hollywood. You know, I'm gonna create my own school of thought, and we'll produce our own work. And they can call it independent if they want. But that's kind of a downplay. You know, it is what it is, and it's for us by us. You know, and we're not going to sell out. And those of you from more of my time, you understand exactly what I'm talking about. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole thing is, yes, breathe Ifa into this. Have the Babalao as that pivotal person of knowledge and negotiative aspects, and who is a standing representative of all that is holy, of all that is sacred in Ifa and Isheshe.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody who can, sacrifice 4 chickens, and we got stuff running around, and everybody's just drumming and dancing all day and all night long. You know what I mean? It's
Mm-hmm.
like, no, where are our principles?
Yeah.
Where are our principles? And so this character, the Babalawo Faloye, this is what he represents. Okay. And I wanted to put that opening prayer that I don't know if most Babalaos know it or not, but I haven't really seen it anywhere outside of my initiator and outside of what I learned when we call for Arumula. Arumula Geo, Arumula Geo, Arumula awake, Arumula awake.
Mm-hmm.
Bio Loleo, if you're on the farm, Kio Wa Ileo, come home, come to
Mm-hmm.
the farm, come, we need you here,
Yeah.
you know? And I present this in my latest book, Bond, of course, which means wisdom. Okay, so here we have the infusion of Ifa and Isheshe on much higher levels than what we are accustomed to seeing, and hence accustomed to thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now I want you to notice one thing,
Mm-hmm.
everybody. Okay, Paloye is confronting the king, just like Amina was confronting the god of war.
Oh, yeah. The hierarchy. The
Now he's pointing his finger. He's standing up to him. He's telling him what needs to be done. You see?
mm-hmm. Yeah.
So these battles take place on many planes and
Yeah.
in
True.
many dimensions.
True.
But both Emina and Faloye are doing what Ifa Isheshe have set and sent them to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it just doesn't happen at the snap of a finger, and it just doesn't happen as some blessing. It happens after, you know, putting literally your life on the line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, whereas it's like most people would rather be like, oh, it's best for me to go get a reading now before and see what the do has to say about this situation. That is how all this had happened in the beginning. Whenever Queen Morimi turned her head, she didn't want to speak over anyone in an earlier chapter, and whatnot.
Hmm.
Everybody was pretty much disregarding the need to
Yeah.
do what I'll do, and here is someone saying, "Let me go ahead and do it now."
Yeah. Even if the king doesn't like it,
Yeah.
because the king is like basically whatever. I've already decided what I want to do. But
Hmm.
the Babalao, the high priest, is like, I told you that I should have divine. Okay. Now look at what happened.
Hmm.
You caused this. You're the king. The diviner is not the head of the army. The diviner is not the head of the state. The diviner is the diviner. The king has the power.
Hmm.
You see. So again, we'll continue reading to see what the Odu was and how things turn out. All right. Moving on to chapter 4. Uh-oh.
You had another one here. Let me make sure. I don't think there's. Oh, there's.
Oh, master, where you going?
Okay, I was just making sure that you knew that we had another one. Okay. Yeah. So Sanakumani is here.
Mm-hmm.
O Master, your spirit has been broken. Baluku never claimed to be God. He's a symbol of consciousness rising from the depths of the mud to the height of celestial potential. Baluku is but a form of creation, as we are all.
Mm-hmm.
There's no God saying, there's only our capacity to save, help. Let me make sure I just skip over.
No,
Only
just
our capacity to save ourselves.
mm-hmm.
There are too many gods already. That's why we chose not to become one. I would rather help humanity as a human being because, in truth, it's the only way. You must rise from your knees and help your people recover from this tragedy. The sage stood and bowed. The disciple has become the teacher. Da da da, Emina saying, da da da, he echoed. This is good. It's good. It's really, I know a lot of people really would not be comfortable with getting off their knees, but they have to get off their knees. They have to get off their knees. Praying is, I mean, things does not happen, does not take place on your knees. I remember back in the day, I had an uncle that would say, get off your knees before somebody come and behead you. So he would always say that to my aunties, you know.
I like to look at it as a pie graph.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that pie graph is not always going to be equal in terms of how it's segmented, in terms of percentages. So I'm not saying that being on your knees in prayer and offering, you know, is incorrect.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying that there are times when you got to get up, you
Yeah.
know, when the percentage of the time you spend on your knees and the time you actually get up and do something, it shifts. The time that you spend in prayer and beseeching the Orisha, the gods, okay, loosely translated, is one thing, but you can't dismiss the other part of the pie graph. You can't dismiss your study. You can't dismiss, the caring of your body, your mind, your spirit. You can't dismiss your emotional states. You can't dismiss who you are in the world, you know, and expect, to basically mask yourself with, oh, I'm a Shango, and oh, I'm a Oshun, and oh, I'm a Obatala. No, you're not.
Mm-hmm.
It breaks my heart to tell you.
Mhm.
So that's not who you are. That's who you can learn from, you know.
Mhm.
That's whose nature is more akin to the nature of you, but it is not you. And trying to imitate and aspire to be what someone basically has imagined it to be,
Mhm.
that's part of the pie graph that perhaps needs to be, or forgive me, that's the part that is suggested that one reevaluates. Okay,
Mhm.
because if I feel as though Oshun is like this and like that, and I attempt to be that way, forsaking myself, then
Mhm.
I'm not learning from Oshun. I'm imitating.
Mhm.
You know? And if I'm initiated into any Orisha or even into Ifa, being a Babalao, oh, I'm a Rumila. I'm a real. No, you know you're not. You're
Your name
who?
is Darius.
Yeah, yeah. You're you. Improve yourself. You know. And I made 5 elbows last week. I'm like, yeah, okay, fine. But when you look at the pie graph, what uh, what else is necessary? You know, what other sacrifices are you making
Mhm.
that better you as a person? And so, this is one of the strings, I'd like to say, on the guitar of this novel. But see, every string has to be in tune. And whatever key you playing in, every string has to be in tune. And if it's not, if one string is out of tune,
Mhm.
you're out of harmony.
Mhm.
And so that's why I say, I mean, it's like, get up off your knees. It's no time for that now. You know what I mean? It's time to do something else. And whatever you gain from being on your knees, you need to bring it over here.
Yeah.
You know, because see, war is upon us. Like you said, you be down on your knees and somebody just come and chop your head off.
Mhm.
Okay, you know. And from again a martial art and military background, prisoners are generally on their knees because that's the hardest position, you know, or should say one of the hardest positions to start a fight or to come out with a weapon and do damage to somebody.
Mhm.
So you'll see prisoners of war kneeling, as well as you'll see folks in a religious environment kneeling. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't
Totally.
want my head chopped off. You know, if so, it's going to be because I'm fighting back,
Mhm. At least fight back.
at least fighting back. And this is what we see throughout the novel. And again, that's why it's called War and Resurrection.
Mm. Let's go to the next part. The Dravidians, along
Okay,
with
can't
that.
see it. Can't see it. Huh?
Oh, gotta remember to bring it back to the screen. Here we go.
Okay.
Thank you.
This is the last one. Hmm.
The Dravidians, along with their priestess, strewed across the savannah and plains. Their exodus lasted 40 days and 40 nights. What they saw when they reached their homeland caused them to shudder. Decayed remains of their once harmonious lives caused many to wail and throw up their hands. When they suffered the unjust war, there was little time to assess the horrors and numbers. Now only shadow lurked, shadows that were once living beings. Priestess Emina fell to the ground and covered herself with blackened and crusted, blood-stained dirt. She cried out so loudly that birds squeaked and flew from the trees. The surviving Dravidians walked the once sacred ground as if they were dead, as if they too were dead. Awakened, the behemoth called out to his priestess Emina. When she heard them, she raised her hands over the killing field. Buluku, do you not see? I have seen such devastation and more. Why won't you do something? Why won't you turn back time? Why won't you raise the dead? Why won't you undo the wrongs of man? We've been through this before, Baluku said. Why does understanding fade whenever emotions ignite? Did you not help the teacher to see what now blinds you? There was no answer. Amina walked to the edge of the lake. Her thoughts rippled with the tide. I should have become a goddess. The pain I suffer as a priestess is beyond me. That let's dive in that. Let's talk about that because so you really do know how to like express what people have gone through time and time and time again, especially when going through hardship. You really do know how to go there.
Well, part of the reason is because I'm one of them people. You understand? You know, and they say life ain't been no crystal stair. You know,
Mm-hmm.
but you know, you learn as a writer, as a priest writer, as a Babalao writer, as an Oluo writer. You know that setting the environment. Okay, some people might say setting the stage. Okay, for your deliverance, for your presentation, for your words, is of paramount importance. Okay, you know, you set the scene. You know, anybody who thinks that you know me, I just sit down and write.
Mm-hmm.
Let me share with you that such is not the case. I might put on a certain kind of music. I may turn all the lights out and just write. Okay, audio, and just write in the darkness. With a candle to the right and to the left. Because I want to be in that state of mind. I'm communing with Ifa. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not detached. You know, and there's a saying about writing that I picked up. Being a professor of English slash language arts, and also having taught the subject in um, secondary schools, you know, and short stories. You know what I mean? So I'm not just writing; I'm learning. But one thing that I learned is that if there are no tears for the writer, there are no tears for the reader. And it's like, if I want you to feel it, then trust me when I say that I've felt it to the nth degree. If I write a scene that brings a tear to your eye, trust me, I cried. If I write a scene that angers you, trust me, I'm up trying to keep from punching a hole in the wall. You understand? So, you you generate that. Okay? And especially when you're trying to get a point across as deeply as what this book reveals. The betrayals, okay, the conflicts, the chaos. But through all of that, there's something stable that's attempting to bring our lives into atite alignment. Okay, and this is what's happening to Emina. She's trying to get into alignment, even if she doesn't know it yet. But as we continue to read the book, we'll find that she does, but it comes it comes slowly. Okay. And this last part here, I should have become a goddess. The pain I suffer as a priestess is beyond me. I want every Babalarisha and Ealarisha and Babalao and whoever steps into Ifa Nisheshe to realize the vibrational impact of this move in Emina. This the pain I suffer is beyond me. If we're not feeling the pain of our people, then how can we say we're really trying to heal it? You used the term the other day when we were speaking, empathy. If we don't have that empathy, and going back to if we don't have that compassion, you know, and I promised myself I wasn't going to say this, but I'm gonna break the promise. If we just see people who come to us not as devotees, not as avaricias, not as people who are devotees of Arisha, if we just see them as clients, you know. Now, of course, people can call whomever, whatever they want to call them. I'm not standing here, sitting here, you know what I mean, in a position of judgmental. I got too much work to do over here, you know. But when it comes across my ears, then I have to resolve what impact is it having on Ifa and Isheshe. I've been doing this longer than a whole lot of folks been doing since they've been born. Okay, so I can start pointing my right finger, you know what I mean, and turning sideways and saying, y'all, you keep not listening here. So what else? What else? What's the next step? You know, because we're moving in the wrong direction. As a priest and priestess, you have to generate that compassion. And yeah, you're going to suffer. Yeah, you're going to be betrayed. The people you help the most probably be the ones who do you the dirtiest. Okay. And that slippery slope that you're climbing with the burdens of those who depend on you to uplift them, sometimes it's going to cause you to slip. And sometimes, if you're not careful, you're going to fall. You're going to fall hard. Okay. But get back up. Get back up. Don't stop loving the very people who need to be loved,
Mm-hmm.
because that's the priestly way, however you want to define it, you know. But like I shared with you, I no longer consider myself a priest.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm an Oluo. I'm a philosopher. I'm a teacher who has reached a certain level where it's about being pragmatic. It has to work, not because you believe it to work, but because it's actually working.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as they say, you fall 7 times, you get back up 7 times, you know, or 14 or 21, whatever. You know, you keep climbing that mountain until you get to that place, and you'll know it when you get there. Nobody else can describe it, you know.
It's something that you said, and also the passage here that reminds me of the individuals who find Nephi, including myself,
Mhm.
and we plunge ourselves into, devote ourselves into the work of just Ephi, and we have family and stuff, that hasn't, and they're still going through regular, lives of whatnot. And it can be hard for them, and like you said, the Exodus lasted 40 days and 40 nights. Most people who come into the fire are trying to save themselves and or their families, from a lot of things in life that's going on, and they'll go and collect a lot of icons and go get initiated, and then have to come back home and realize that there's still a lot of work to be done even
Yeah.
at home. And
Yeah.
And even that, because people, because your people back home are just like, girl, I don't care about what you're doing, or here you go with that hoorah stuff, here you go with all that voodoo stuff, and
Mhm.
there's even more work to be done at the end, and that could be painful. That could be
Oh
really,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Can be painful. It is painful.
really is.
Let's face it. And deal with the fact. But like Amina said, shoot, you know,
Mm-hmm.
it's too much. It's too much to bear. But see, this is when uh
Sure.
again, it's worth it. And what do we need to do to strengthen ourselves? From a like an Abrahamic point of view, oh, we'll just pray more. You know what I mean? And God will look out and la da 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 da. Yeah, and that's why a lot of their priests are up on pedophile charges or whatever. But the
Mm-hmm.
whole thing is that we need to see other than that. You
Mm-hmm.
know. And again, I shouldn't. I don't need. I suggest that we see other than that.
Mm-hmm.
But if there's no other way to see it, then I'm going to create it. You know what I mean? And just
Yeah.
like I brought the handbook into existence, I can bring other things into existence because I'm so moved.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not trying to do anything to anybody except give them another way beyond the usual, the typical, the regurgitation,
Mm-hmm.
the external focusing. When Ifa Rumula is an esoteric journey. It's an inward journey, point blank, point blank. I'm not making this up. It's written from years and years ago.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so why not revive it? You know, why not bring back the inner teachings and strengthen ourselves as a result? Our diets, our exercise, our way of life, we become stronger so that we can better carry the burdens of our position as priests and priestesses. We can't have a stressful world going on around us. We can't have ulterior motives. You know what I mean? We can't be the wicked person in the room. But all too often, we find that this is the occurrence.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I'm like, okay, well, that's normal. Wherever you go. But not everybody needs to be there. Not everybody needs to be up under that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying for all of you who feel that you don't need to be up under that, there's a haven for you.
Okay.
And I know it's good because I'm building it.
I see. Do we have any questions? Anyone?
Question.
Anyone have
Mhm.
question, comments, any add-ons you want to present? Let's build. Let's use this the last, let's say, 5 to 10 minutes to build.
Mhm.
Um, Adeola said, "My falls and my risings were worth it, yet painful."
Yeah.
I shade to that. I agree to that for sure.
Yeah. Because we learn from it, those of us who learn from it.
Yeah, those of us who learn,
Yeah.
those of us who learn for
Some
sure.
folks seemingly enjoy it. You know what I mean? And just keep putting themselves back in the same situation, same situation, same situation.
Hmm.
You know.
I know we spoke about something earlier about, well, earlier in the week,
Hmm.
the we. You told me, yeah, you told me to be careful with the word we,
Uh-huh.
when it comes down to healing,
Yeah.
because it cannot always be about we, because when it becomes detrimental to
Yeah.
self,
Right.
then there is need for division in that sense. And I think it's definitely true because even sometimes the vision, sometimes that'd be like the exact spark that we need, that
Okay.
I know I need to get it.
Mm-hmm.
Especially because I don't know about everybody else, but when I say that I heal and I am a healer and I
Mm-hmm.
am seeking truth, it's not just like for semantics to say something like that.
Okay.
So when somebody removes something from me, or if I have to remove myself from it, this transformation that comes behind that. It's not just,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
especially because I care. I'm one of those individuals that care a little too much.
The pain is beyond me. She said.
Yeah, mhm. I care.
All right. Anybody else? Huh?
That's it. You don't have any more comments? That was from YouTube. So I appreciate them finding the YouTube video and
Mhm.
also finding the YouTube and joining and participating and being a part of that. You have
Yeah.
any lasting, wonderful comments as you always do?
Well, just that I enjoyed, this 4 week period of time where we focused on place of night's warm resurrection. Uh, uh, by this time, um, yeah,
I agree. And so, when I read the first chapter, I was like,
right. Can I go any further? This is too much.
mm-mm.
Right. I need to talk to him.
You said this was fictional.
About it. Well, like I shared with my students, there's nonfiction in fiction, and there's fiction in nonfiction. Okay, trust me when I say. All right, but yeah, so it's been a journey, and it's been an introduction to the novel. Again, we're going to develop classes revolving around the knowledge uh,
Yes.
of Amina's journey and all of the characters that involved. Because trust me, these first 4 chapters, this is just a backdrop.
You want to
Again,
go? You want to go extra 4 chapters? If you want to, we can.
there's 21 chapters. Now, I'll consider, you know, going for more, but
Get the book.
get the book. But and then we'll start having classes which will include responses in writing. So it's like a workshop
Yeah.
and a book club together, and
Hmm.
also time to have one-on-one conversations with the author. Okay, and all of this is very important. And now we will take it to the next step of how do you infuse it not only in your life, but um, okay, yeah, okay,
I wonder how the Oshun overcome that betrayal and that falling, because I remember a time when I had to go through it as well, again and again.
or betrayals.
Yes, betrayal within myself, betraying myself and
Yeah,
being betrayed. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
going to order the book.
But again, that's why I made it like a central theme in the book. Who hasn't? You know what I mean? On the levels that we live, you
Hmm.
know, and the growing up that we can all kind of overlap and share. Like, yeah, yeah, I went through that. I went through that. But betrayal is everywhere all the time.
Hmm.
You know. So let's speak on that. Says my inner essence. Let's make sure that people can connect to Emina because that's what they've gone through. Be they male or female, however you want to gender slice it, it's just a part of the experiencing. Now, what to do with it, this is where we come in as Karades. This is where we come in, as initiators of a certain way, not of getting something, but of being something,
Hmm.
you know?
Heavy on the
Everybody
being.
wants a how-to book. How to do this and how to do that and what to do, you know. But I'm like, you know, how how to expand your thinking
Yeah,
book, you
yeah,
know,
I like that for sure.
how to break you out of conditioned mind. Because you can read the book like many have and just saw it superficially.
Mm-hmm.
But
Surface
then when we
level.
started having the discussions, like, oh, this is allegorical. This is spiritual stuff going on here.
Mm-hmm.
You
And then
know?
what to do with it.
Yes. And see, and this is where the classes come in.
Mm-hmm.
This is where further discussions come in. It's time to get up. All right, all right. All right, it's time to get up. And whatever you gain from being on your knees, you take it with you now that you walking straight.
Yeah, because a lot of people would love to keep you there, keep you shamed, and
Yes.
feeling bad that anything that you went through, experiences or whatnot. No, it's a beautiful
Yeah.
part of you, so you get to take it with you. It
Yeah.
is true. I felt that for sure.
Yeah.
Mm.
So this is wonderful. So um let's make sure other people, you know, kind of see the light at the end of this tunnel, because I know for a fact, you know, that there are a number of people, a multitude of people who just want to be into this so that they can be
Mm.
beyond the confusion, the conflict, the how many's, the very externalness of it all. And just need some elder counsel, just need a book to connect with and grow from.
Mm-hmm.
I know that they're out there. And I know that everyone listening knows people who are out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was hoping to get a book club going for those who need a space to write. Um, because writing has been one of the most essential healing tools for me throughout the years.
Yeah.
And so just to like read and maybe write and even create poetry or something from it help, I thought that that would be a great.
Well, it will be, and as I shared earlier, a part of the book club, revolving around a place of nights, will be people writing responses and writing. I've had students write letters to Emina or write to the king. You know what I mean? And then they got their opinions out. They learn how to flow. If you're going to be persuasive, how would you persuade someone to not take their lives?
Mm-hmm.
We're in Oloye's place. Of course, this is what older people. So this is going through. Now, I'm moved to say this. In the book itself, there are a number of proverbs.
Mm-hmm.
And in earlier editions, I had the proverbs listed before the prologue.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a number of proverbial statements, okay, that find themselves being introduced throughout the book. So once I took those proverbs out and listed them, I was like, okay, something like rain does not fall on one roof alone, kind of thing. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So we're learning the essence of our tradition through the novel, and that is very important. That is very important.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get to those people, and yeah, if I
Mm-hmm.
could,
Oh yeah.
we'll talk and determine what what next week is going to look like.
No problem. We sure will. Well,
But
I
we'll
think
be here, everybody. We'll be here, 4 o'clock on Eastern Standard Time.
on the 4th, January 4th, we will be here. Um, so I just wanted to give a thanks to Adiola, Oshumbumi Rogers, and is there anybody else? Naya, Nyala, Nyasia,
Nice.
Nyasia also for tuning in and leave us a comments. And yes, I appreciate you all. You catch it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Thank
check
you.
Facebooks for the shorts.
Yes, of course, there'll be shorts for you all. And my DMs are open as well. If you have anything you want to talk about, I invite you to inbox me.
Okay.
But thank you, Oloye. for
No
being a
doubt.
part of it. We'll continue to build. Enjoy the rest of your day, everybody.
Yeah, take
Adabo.
care. No doubt, my people. No doubt.